All right, so let's talk about Superman.
Krypto. Home. Take me home.
So there's a lot riding on this movie. Obviously, James Gunn and Peter Safran have taken over DC. They're the new heads. They're the new Kevin Feige's of DC. They're getting a brand new start, and that, as far as the film side goes, starts with Superman. Now, I know there's Creature Commandos that is basically the start, but I haven't seen that yet. Superman is going to be the real start, at least for me, and probably will be for a lot of other people too. We've seen a lot of set photos. We've seen a lot of things, like especially the suit reveal, which I know a lot of people were mixed about, including myself, and other little details that we've come to learn. The suit is especially an interesting point of conversation. I wanted to see the suit moving before I made any real judgment. And we finally got a trailer. The trailer came out yesterday. I've got quite a few thoughts on it. And I've watched a lot of people that I'm subscribed to and watch a lot talk about this movie too in the trailer. And I want to give my 10 cents because I thought it would be fun. So Superman, the trailer, or teaser trailer, whatever you want to call it, we start out in the Arctic, which already rings a bell for the Forces of Solitude. But the only difference is we actually see Superman crash land into the snow, which is maybe a really cool like swap of expectations, just subverting that. And we get a really good look at Clark, who's been apparently beaten down. He's been beaten. He's wheezing. I mean, he's really had the wind knocked out of him. And we get a nice shot of Clark going into the Daily Planet. And this is the one thing that I know a lot of people are talking about, but Clark's haircut. Or at least the way he styles his hair while he's Clark Kent. I know a lot of people are making fun of that, the broccoli top, how big his hair is. But honestly, though, I mean, just hear me out, because I've heard a couple other people say this too. Look at this guy. I mean, like, if you were to take one look at this guy, would you really think that this is the same guy that they're seeing picking up cars and swooping in to save people and fighting what looks to be big kaiju dragons or whatever? I don't think you would think that, and that's really solely based on his look, which I think they've nailed. He really has he really has that awkward look to him that's super reminiscent of Christopher Reeve. And there's this one that I've really been like fascinated by, and it's just a quick shot of David just turning around, and he's got this perplexed look on his face. Like, the dude is really giving off these like oblivious goofball Clark Kent vibes, which I love. That looks straight Christopher Reeve, like him looking like that in the eye of Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, everybody else. And then the stark contrast we get of him as Superman. I mean, it's so cool, like the visual difference between them and their posture. It's really given me a lot of hope that the dichotomy of Clark and Superman in the public eye, David's going to nail that. And James Gunn is also going to nail that too. Like I feel like they've really got their hand on the pulse of what makes Superman so great. But after we get that shot of the Daily Planet and Clark, we see he whistles, and he whistles for Krypto. And we all knew that Krypto was going to be in this with that photo that James Gunn shared. To see it in live action, because like growing up, like I only saw Krypto in cartoons and then some other forms of animation, and it's been hard for me to fathom a way that Krypto would work on the big screen. But we have him now. And knowing James Gunn, he's always got a really interesting way to incorporate, especially animals, into his movies, like with Guardians. And he's going to nail it. I don't know exactly how they're going to utilize Krypto, but he's going to nail it. And Krypto is going to be a very popular thing when people walk out of this movie. And it already seems to be popular already. But I think it's cool how Clark just he asked him to take him home. Now, we don't know if home's Forces of Solitude. We don't know if that's the Kent farm in Kansas. We don't know if that's his place in Metropolis. We don't know, but he's asking Krypto to take him home. As soon as Krypto takes his cape, you get a really awesome shot of Superman swooping in slow motion to save a little girl from what looks like that dragon, that big monster thing we see later in the trailer. But it's a shot like that. So, like, one of the first shots we see of Superman really in action is him saving somebody. That's a really big deal, and they did that purposely. I'm by no means a blind Zack Snyder supporter. I really like things about Man of Steel, even BVS and Justice League. There are things I like about them, but Henry Cavill was a good Superman for the material that he had. I really think he probably could have been better given a different creative team and more opportunity to be Clark Kent and Superman, because I don't think it's really a hot take, but Henry Cavill really embodied Superman, but we never really got a good feel for him as Clark Kent. And what little we did wasn't really that great anyways. But a big complaint about the DCEU and Man of Steel, especially when he's battling Zod, is that Metropolis is destroyed and he doesn't save anybody. He's got a few saves throughout Man of Steel, but that was a big thing, and Superman is not saving people. So to see that front and center in James Gunn's Superman is it's a big deal. But we get some cool shots of especially Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. This is one thing I've been really excited for, is apparently he auditioned to play Batman in The Batman, and he didn't get that, but he's got Lex Luthor now. And I've always thought this guy was a phenomenal actor, especially playing Hank McCoy in the X-Men movies, I guess the prequel X-Men movies where Hank's younger. But the dude's just a fantastic actor, and I'm so glad that he got something to chew off of, and he's got something like Lex Luthor. And if Lex Luthor is written right and executed right, you could have a Lex Luthor that's on par with the one from Smallville. Or even the Superman and Lois version, the very newest version. He was pretty good too. Not my favorite, but he's pretty good too.
We are going to end you.
You're going to end me. Try doing it without powers.
You have nothing on me!
And we get a nice, cool shot of the city with Luthor Corp, the building with like the catwalk between two buildings. That looks really cool. And we also get a shot of this kid in the desert. And looks like a desert setting, maybe the border based on what we see later on a news frame. But it shows a kid struggling to put up a flag amongst all this chaos going on. He's struggling to put a flag with a Superman crest on it. And you see this kid almost wishing for Superman to come. And whenever he just whispered Superman, you know, just that phrase, I can't really explain it, but like this whole trailer has given me feels that I've been sorely missing from Superman, especially on the big screen. But to hear that kid mutter Superman, it's something so simple. It just, I don't know, it kind of hit a part in me. And a lot of that has to do with what has been established before the kid even showed up in the trailer. Let's talk about the music really quick. The music is like a riff on John Williams' iconic Superman theme, except it's got electric guitar, and we've got a slightly different score going on. But it's basically an homage to the John Williams theme that everybody knows. And it's awesome. It really has a nice build to it. The music's there, and then even the font that we see like in the flashes, like James Gunn and like Look Up, like the font even puts me in the mind of the original font that they used in like Superman 1 and even 2. Like it's just very classic looking. But the whole feel of this trailer is that it feels hopeful. It feels like Superman. I mean, it feels really hopeful. It feels like there's obviously an abundance of color. The color grading in this is just really bright. And I like that. It really puts me in the mind of the animated series from Superman in the 90s. And Christopher Reeve. I mean, it's just nice and colorful. And then we also get a nice shot of Pa Kent. And this is kind of scratching my head because I don't know if this takes place in the past or if this is actually present day and Clark is still visiting back at the Kent farm with Pa Kent. We don't get a shot of Martha, so I'm not really sure the state of Martha, but we get a nice shot of Pa Kent and Clark sitting what looks like on the steps of the house. And this guy who's playing Pa Kent, the only thing I've ever really seen him in, he played Otis in The Walking Dead season 2. Yeah, that's the only thing I've seen that guy from, but I think he's going to kill it as Pa Kent, whatever role they give him, but I kind of hope that he is alive, because traditionally every version of Superman, Pa Kent by the time Clark is Superman and he's out on his own, Paul Kent's been dead for a while. So this version, if Paul Kent is alive, still present day, I think this is going to be really interesting to see him and potentially probably Martha too alive, and them being able to talk to Clark his day-to-day life as Superman. But we also get a really quick shot of Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, played by Nathan Fillion, and Hawkgirl, and we also get him actually pointing out and using the ring, which is kind of cool too. But we got to talk about the look. I mean, I think most had seen the set photos whenever they were filming this and saw Guy Gardner. They saw Nathan Fillion and Hawkgirl, and they're like similar costumes that look almost like they're part of a team or like some kind of agency. Obviously, the haircut is completely ridiculous. It looks horrible, but I think that's kind of the point. I don't know how long Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, will be around. I don't know if it'll be just for this movie or longer. I'm not really sure, but it is kind of neat that we are already getting a hint that this world is kind of vast and Superman already exists. All these other people exist. It's really cool to kind of get that feeling, but I am afraid that I'm only afraid of one thing, and it's not just with Superman, but other projects, but I'm going to especially say Superman because that's the one we have closest to us. That's the one that feels the most tangible because it's close. And my only fear is that it might be a little crowded. And by crowded, I mean we've got Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, we've got Hawkgirl, we have Mr. Terrific, and there's some other things too that are speculated, like Ultraman and these other things. But it sounds very stacked, and especially on the hero front, I hope that these people do show up and they have a place in the story, but I don't want them to overshadow the main point of the movie, which is Superman. I want this to focus on Superman. I want this to focus on Clark Kent and his relationship with Lois, and also his relationship with Lex and Jimmy Olsen, and just focus on what makes Superman so great, because Superman has been just as good as his creative team as far as TV and live action. I actually started Smallville, I guess it was sometime last year, and finished it early this year. I'd never seen Smallville before until recently. I've got the box set sitting on my shelf, but at its best, Smallville really had a great grasp of Clark being very human and giving him stakes, giving him giving us reasons to care for Clark, giving us reasons to care about Lois and Lex Luthor. It made me attached to all of this, and it's great. Same way with Paul Kent, played by John Schneider. And then I also, Superman and Lois. I have been watching it the past couple years, and I just watched it wrap up. Superman and Lois did an incredible job at making you care about Clark Kent and Superman. Tyler Hoechlin, the guy who played Superman and Clark in that show, was incredible, just like Tom Welling in Smallville. But again, Superman is only as good as his creative team. And whenever he's really good, he is great. And whenever he's not so good, he's not so good. I'm looking at you, Superman Returns and Man of Steel. And this is coming from someone who still likes Man of Steel. I've always enjoyed it. But in the grander scheme of what I consider to be Superman, it kind of falls a little short. Because, again, I grew up watching Christopher Reeve with my dad. That is my Superman. And then Tyler Hoechlin and Tom Welling are right up there, too. Now they're incredible. And I hope David in this new Superman is going to be right up there or be at the top. But to get back to the trailer, by the time we wrap up, we do get a couple more shots of Mr. Terrific, which I don't really know a whole lot about. But looking at the Alex Ross artwork that I've seen of Mr. Terrific, he looks pretty good. Again, I don't know anything about him, so we'll just see what happens when it comes out, and you'll get a feel. And then we also get a quick shot of someone in a black suit, which we've seen in the set photos. And there's rumors that is Ultraman, which there are photos of that suit with what looks like a U. It's basically like an evil version or a clone of Superman. And he's masked, so we don't know what he looks like. But we see what looks like him charging at Clark, pushing him through a football field. And I don't know if he's flying, but it's a real quick shot. But there's only so many people that can push Clark around like that, and I've got a feeling that is Ultraman. But we also get like a really quick shot of what looks like some LexCorp soldiers, and they're wearing green and purple. which is really cool. I mean, it's something small, but the colorfulness, I mean, it all speaks very comic book and those cool adaptations of Superman that I know we all love. We also get a couple quick shots of what looks like the Fortress of Solitude and some robot, which puts me in the mind of the animated series where Superman had that robot, a relic from Krypton. We get back to that same scene that we saw the suit revealed in, which we had that green and purple thing in the sky behind Clark. We still don't have any clue what that is, but we get a couple snippets of it. All in all, I think the trailer did exactly what it needed to. It invoked a lot of intrigue and excitement, especially to a pretty good Superman fan, especially now. I've always been since I was a kid, but especially now. I'm super excited to see what James Gunn has in store for the new DC universe and for Superman as a start. The pressure is real. The whole DC universe rides on Superman. And I hope nothing but success for that. I'll be there day one to watch it on July 11th. It looks incredible. But to round back to where we started, I want to talk about the suit. To echo a lot of other people, I really only have two gripes with it. And the first gripe is all the extra piping that we see. It kind of puts me in the mind of like an MCU costume. Like there's just extra lines around the shoulders, the arms, the torso. They don't really seem that necessary. There's not a ton of them, but they are there. It's not really like my favorite thing, but it's not really a huge detractor. It just looks a little busy. And the second thing, which I think is probably the worst offender of the suit, is the fit. It looks just a little on the baggy side. And not saying it's got to be like super skin tight, but I will give Henry Cavill this and every other version of Superman we've seen, even Tyler Hoechlin on the CW, is the form fit on all their costumes was a lot better. It looked a lot form-fitting to their body, and especially like Henry Cavill and all the other actors who worked out for the role, you could really get a sense of like their physique. And we've seen pictures of David Cornsweet for this new Superman getting pretty jacked, but when you see him in the suit, it just doesn't look like there's anything there, just because the suit looks pretty thick and then it's kind of got like a baggy fit. And that's kind of my only little issue with it. I mean, it's just the fit, but seeing it moving and seeing him just in it, seeing it in motion besides just seeing pictures, it's really growing on me. And seeing the trunks and stuff, I mean, it's super reminiscent of what I think of as Superman. I think it was an awesome choice to bring back the red trunks. I mean, and I love that we found out that David Cornsweet was a big reason why the trunks are on the suit. Because I think James Gunn was maybe against the idea, but David kind of nudged in and said, "Hey," he said, "this guy wants to dress up like a professional wrestler, so people won't be afraid of him, especially kids, you know. And he wants to be approachable. He wants to be there for everybody and not make anybody scared," which I think is a really cool way to look at it. I've never thought about it that way, and I guess it persuaded James Gunn to change his mind, and now we have the red trunks. We've got a really cool modern but also classic look at this suit. And the Kingdom Come logo, I've never been a big fan of, but seeing it now, and then it looks really cool. It's really starting to grow on me. But my favorite detail of the whole suit is the back of the cape with the yellow S. That is just, I love that. That really screams old Superman and Christopher Reeve. I love that little detail. And even the collar. I'm not really big on Superman having a collar on his suits, but it's not really bothering me too bad. So all in all, I think the suit is really growing on me. I think it looks a lot better than what I saw in the photos. That's why it always confused me that the first time we saw the suit in an official photo was him sitting in a chair like I am. He's putting his boots on and the suit kind of looks already damaged anyways, and it's lowly lit. It kind of confused me. I was like, it was seeing the trailer now, it was kind of like a conflict of the whole idea of what they want the Superman to be, which is bright and hopeful and bold. And that photo just didn't do it for him. If they wanted to reveal the suit, they should have just revealed that poster that they did a few days ago. That's really bright and colorful, and it has Clark looking up to the sky, and looks like he's flying, and you get a nice colorful look at most of the suit. That should have been the first costume reveal. I mean, that looks great. I don't know what they were thinking with that sitting in the chair in the dark, putting his boots on thing. It just didn't work. But either way, that was my thoughts on the Superman trailer. it really blew me away. I was really excited but really nervous about it because I really love Superman. I love the whole DC universe. I just want them to thrive, especially right now with Marvel. They're kind of at a low point. This would be a perfect time for DC to finally be able to take off, and I hope that James Gunn and Peter Safran really get a grip on this new universe and Superman, and they really soar high. But I guess, all in all, I love the direction that Superman looks like it's going in, and I really can't wait for July. It can't come quick enough. But with that said, I wanted to thank everybody for their viewership of my first video, the one about the Hulk, and then the shorts that I had. The viewership's been really awesome, and the 17, 18 subscribers that I have now, thank you. Thank you so much. It's really cool. I'm really excited to keep pursuing this. It's been a lot of fun for me so far. Right now I'm still working on Daredevil, the video for Daredevil 2003. That'll be coming soon. But I did want to shout my thoughts out on Superman and have some content here because Daredevil may still be a few days away. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time with Daredevil.